Blessed be everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we're doing a video on spell books and I've got some recommendations here that I want to show you. There's about 5 spell books I've got. One of them I have done a video on, but I wanted to bring it into this because it's just a really good reference to have for not just the history of spells, but also it's got some great spell recipes in there. Before we dive into that though, I'm Sandra from mysterywitchschool.com, author of Crafting Your Wiccan Path. If you want to know more about Wicca and witchcraft, spells and magic, tarot and shadow work, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you don't miss any videos. If you want to know where to start your witchcraft practice, but you're a little confused by all of the information out there and how do you sort of pace yourself to learn all of this, I have a free video called How to Start Your Witchcraft Practice, and there's a link in the description field below this video. I also have a free PDF called the Spellcaster Checklist, which is a checklist that gives you an idea of what do I need to think about before I do a spell and how do I approach spell casting so that I become better at it, essentially. And it's just something you can tick off as you go, particularly for spells that can be a little bit more tricky to do because they might be something that's harder to go for example. So that's a quick checklist, link in the description field below this video. I had a request to do a video on books on spells. I have done probably 2 or 3 other videos in the past on various different spell books, so I'll link them in the description field as well. I also did about 18 months ago a video where I probably reviewed about maybe 5 or 6 different spell books, so that one I will put at the end of this video so you can go and have a look at that too. Those books were specifically spells and simple spells. They weren't too complicated with too much complication in regards to ingredients, which is really helpful, particularly if you live somewhere where you can't get hold of the ingredients that more traditional spell books will have in them. A bit like some recipe books that you get for cooking. They look great and you think, oh, I'd love to make that, and then you get the list of all of the ingredients and you think, oh, it's too much. It's too much. You definitely don't have them in the pantry and it's just too much for one dish. So if you like to do spells the same way as I do, which is pretty much the same way I cook, which is I don't like a lot of ingredients, those spell books are great. But these ones, what I love about these ones is that not only are they spell books, they also are focusing on a particular tool or group of spirits or that you would work with, and so you're getting more of an understanding of the tools themselves and lots of different ways that you can work with those tools beyond just spell casting. So you can get to be more familiar with crystals and how you can work with crystals, work with herbs, the Fae for example, and also tarot cards as well. So the first book I'm going to talk about here is a book called Herbal Magic. It's a lovely book. I'll put all of the links to these books in the description field as well, so you can go and click on them and go straight to Amazon if you want to have a look at them or purchase them. This is, and I'll put my glasses on so I can certainly read it, Herbal Magic, a handbook of natural spells, charms and potions. The author is Aurora Kane. So I don't know if you can see the book that well, the ring light there. I am doing my videos from a totally different room to where I normally do them because there's construction work going on out the front of my place and it's just too noisy to do my videos anywhere else other than here. Okay, so this book obviously is about herbs. So it's telling you a lot about how to work with herbs, and it also gives you other tools that you can bring in as well. So apart from the introduction on herbs, I have not read this book from cover to cover. I've only browsed through it and had a look at the things that I really wanted to have a look at. This book was given to me, so that's why I haven't got around to reading it all yet. Apart from it being a very beautiful book to look at and flick through and have on your coffee table, there's Also instruction basically on green witchery, so it's bringing in the ideas of witchcraft and how you can incorporate that into your life. So it goes beyond just the herbs. It's also talking about intuition and your intentions, how you set intentions, using herbs with meditation, and even giving you a guide on doing mindfulness meditation. So it gives you the basics, a little bit of on energy and how it all works. So there's explanations here on how it all works, so that you, if you're really green to this, and not just a green witch, but green as in new to this, it gives you a really good foundation. You also have references to various different deities and trees and fairies when it comes to incorporating them into your magic, so you've got an idea of who they are. Then there is a reference to the various different herbs themselves, and also trees. And at the back there's references to the different qualities of a lot of common herbs that you'd use in magic. And what's good about this book too is that the herbs that are in here are herbs that you can pretty much find anywhere, and some of them are you can pretty much grow them anywhere as well. They're not overly complicated. There's a lot of herbs in here that you'll also find in magical oils as well. So if you want to use herbs from an aromatherapy point of view, you can still utilize the information in this book to do that. So it's a lovely book, and Herbal Magic by Aurora Kane. Oops, a little bit of noise there. I don't have a lot of room here, so I'm putting things on top of printers and all sorts of things. The next book is a crystal book. So this is a book focusing on crystals, working with crystals for spell work, obviously, because it's the Book of Crystal Spells. And it's by Amber Grant. And the total title is The Book of Crystals, Magical Uses for Stones, Crystals, Minerals, and even Sand. So the author even talks about working with glass and sand in this book. It's a lovely book as well, as all of the books always are these days. And it doesn't just talk about the spells themselves. The author also talks about the different types of crystals, like the different crystal shapes and what they're called, and also what their energy is. There is references to the most common crystals that you'd find in a crystal store, how to do crystal grids and working with spells in a crystal grid format. There is also spells here working with numerology and how to incorporate numerology into your spell work. I believe colour is also incorporated in here too, because the crystals are also related to colour as well. And something I forgot to mention, and this is for crystal magic as well as herbal magic, is that there's references in here to working with candles in herbal magic as well, because with herbal magic we often work with candles. It's very common to dress candles in herbs, so they often go like together, candle magic and herbal magic. Also candle magic and crystal magic go really well together as well. And it does help to understand colour references and colour correspondences with crystals, because crystals come in colours and so they connect there as well. So going through the list of contents here, you've got how to prepare your crystals for magic, so cleansing and consecrating your crystals, using them for magical jewellery, for amulets and talismans. That's what's really fun about crystals, is not only can you use them as charms and talismans and amulets, but they actually look good too. So you can create really nice jewellery and have it just look like it's jewellery, but it's actually serving a purpose magically at the same time. It's helping fine-tune your energy signature to the energy signature of your intention, because you're matching that to the energy signature of the crystal and the way that you've programmed it. So it just gives you more of that vibrational energy to attract what it is you're trying to attract, or to protect you from whatever it is you're wanting to be protected from. Information here about crystal spells for home and garden, creating crystal elixirs and essences, which is really wonderful if you want to use the homeopathic approach to working with crystals. Not all crystals you can do this with. Well, you sort of can, but you can't necessarily always put all of the crystals that you want to work with in water, for example. Selenite will dissolve in water, so if you're wanting to have selenite as a crystal elixir, then you would need to put that in a glass or something, and then put the glass and surround the glass by water, making sure the selenite doesn't get wet. And then the energy of the selenite would infuse the water around it through the glass, and you can still have a selenite elixir, for example. How would you use elixirs? Well, to help with any healing magic or healing work that you're doing. You could use crystal elixirs for magic that you might be doing in your garden, magic that you might be using if you're making potions, for example. You can have crystal elixirs in a potion, and even use it in your cooking if you're wanting to do that. So the author tells you how you can go about doing that. And sand and glass spells. Who would think that you could work with sand and glass in magic? But you can. You can work with anything in magic. But this is probably the only crystal book I've come across that actually shows you how to work with sand and glass. Earth magic, and then quartz points, rituals, meditations and affirmations. And we talked about numerology briefly, crystal grids. It's a really cool book. The Book of Crystal Magic by Ember Grant. Okay. Next book, I may have already done a review on this book. I'm doing it again because it's called Tarot Spells, because it's on tarot. And there's not a lot of books around on tarot, how you can use tarot in magic. Tarot is usually used for divination or for getting clear about a situation and helping you make decisions based on getting clearer from using your cards. This one shows you how you can use them in magic. It's called Tarot Spells by Janina Renee, and it's a really lovely book. A good thing about these books too is you don't necessarily need to use them with tarot, for example. You can still use the spells themselves, like the words, in other spell work that you may be doing. But this one is really focused on the different categories of the magic that you would be interested in doing. So, for example, working on protecting yourself from enemies, helping your family, farms and gardens, friends, health and well-being, job hunting, love and romance, luck, money, motivation, obstacles, and quite a few different topics here. Courage, decisions, dreams, emotions, business. There's a lot of different things that you can use magic for, and so this is really designed to help you with pretty much any part of your life that you might want to use magic for, but using the tarot. And it doesn't really matter what sort of deck you have either. You may find if you've got a number of different decks that you would prefer to use a particular deck for magic and keep that deck only for magic, whereas there might be other decks that you'd prefer to use for divination. That's how I would recommend working with tarot spells, is having a special deck that you do tarot magic with. So that is Tarot Spells by Janina Renee for those of you who are loving tarot and want to do magic with it. This is another book. It's actually a really pretty book, and when I first saw it I kind of thought it looked a bit like a kid's book because of all the pretty fairies and everything on there. But it's actually a really good book. It's Modern Witchcraft Guide to Fairies, Your Complete Guide to Magic of the Fae by Skye Alexander. So it's a very good author. It's a lovely book, and it does really appeal to my inner child. I love I love that kind of little kitty kind of depiction of the Fae, even though they're not quite like that. But it's a lovely book. This is a hardcover version as well. And as I said at the beginning, all of these books will be linked in the description field, so you can go find them on Amazon. And this book gives you quite a lot of information on the different types of fae and how to work with them and how not to work with them, which is important. And then you get a lot of information on, again, different spell categories and how you can work magic with the fae in those different categories. What I like about this book too is that you don't necessarily need to work with the fae to do the spells. The spells are really lovely spells and they're very accessible spells. So even if you don't want to work with the fae, it's worth getting the book because the spells in here are really cool spells. I love them. They're really very witchy. There's different types of tools that you would use, like herbs, I think crystals. There's also a couple of tarot spells in here, I think, as well. But the different sort of spell categories that you'd look at here are things like money, love, health, you know, those standard spell things. And there's a lot of different spells for those categories. I'll just go through the contents here. You've got the communing with fairies. So you've got a bit of a history of the witchcraft and fairies and, you know, the different kinds of fairies, the cautions, and caveats for working with fairies, where to meet them and how to invite them to assist you in your magic. And then it goes on to the spells, rituals and practices for working with fairies throughout the year. And then we've got prosperity and abundance, safety and protection, health and healing, professional success, and even spiritual growth. So it's really, really lovely book, this one, The Modern Witchcraft Guide to Fairies. Your Complete Guide to the Magic of the Fae with Skye Alexander. So that's a really lovely book. And the last one, I've talked about this book before, so I've got another video totally on this, but I think I did it a few years ago now, so it's an old video. The very heavy Element Encyclopedia of 5,000 spells by Judika Illes. It's a very heavy book and it's a wonderful spell book. It also makes a really good doorstop as well and a wonderful paperweight. But it's a really lovely book, so I totally recommend it as a reference guide. My criticism of this book is that a lot of the materials in here are hard to get for some of us in some places of the world. They're very traditional spells. This book's been researched, so it's going back into history and tradition. So it's very much into a lot of the various different cultures and the way that the tools that they'd use in their spellcraft. So some of them may be tricky. Another thing about this book is it just gives you the spell recipes, like the materials that you'd use to make like Florida water, or materials that you'd use for like a money spell. It doesn't give you the chants and the incantations or the affirmations that you would actually be using with the spell if you were doing the spell. So that's something you would have to come up with yourself, to write yourself, or find a written spell somewhere else that you could use with the spells in this book, because it doesn't give you that. It just gives you the recipes for the ingredients of the spells. But you're getting, like, for each category here, and I'll give you the categories. Let's grab the reference while I look for the index. There's also an introduction to how spells and magic work too, so it does give you an idea of what you need to do to have a successful spell. So it's not just the spells themselves. There is a little bit of a background with how you can actually make your spell work more successful. The spells, you've got animal spells, so that's working with animals, or spells to work with helping animals. Banishing spells, business spells, cleansing spells, court case spells and legal spells, justice spells, spells around death, divination, the evil eye, fertility, fire safety, gambling, happy home, healing spells, pretty much a spell for any occasion. So it's a great reference tool. The only drawback is the ingredients for some people, and where it depends on where you live, and it doesn't have any written spells there, so it makes it difficult for you to know what to say unless you're familiar with how to craft a petition spell or how to craft an affirmation that you'd say in your spell. But there's other spell books out there that would tell you how to do that, and pretty much I think a lot of them that I've just reviewed today will give you guidance on that if they don't already have that written into their spells as well. So that is that for spell work. If you want to learn Wicca and witchcraft with me, I have that 12-month course called the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy, where you do learn spellcrafting, you learn candle magic, protection magic, financial magic, as well as incorporating witchcraft into your daily life. And it's of an eclectic Wiccan nature, but it's quite eclectic. And you're working with energy, utilizing energy, because we use energy a lot in magic, and you don't want to be using your energy. You want to be using the universal energy. So it's learning how to channel universal energy for your spell work, and also to give you more energy too. As well as meditation and being able to connect to your craft, not just for magic, but actually to have it as a part of your spiritual daily existence. It's lifting you up, it's raising your vibe on a daily basis, incorporating the craft to connect you to you, to connect you to the magic of the universe, the magic of nature, and how you can go about bringing that into your life so that you can feel a sense of meaning in life, feeling a sense of connection in life, and taking back your power in life, which is what it's really about. It's about becoming more you and taking back your power, and the magical arts can certainly help you do that in a positive way. Okay, there's real empowerment there in magic when it's handled in the right way. So that's the Mystery Witch School 101 Academy. Link in the description field below this video. If you like the video, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe. I am Sandra for mysterywitchschool.com. Blessed be.